What up, what up? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about how to raise money successfully using crowdfunding, and that could be for entrepreneurs, that could be for creators, that could be people that are more creative types, people that are trying to put something out there to the world to make an impact, right? And that's really what I try to target my videos at, putting out free education when it comes to my blog, my podcast, putting out education when it comes to my free courses, etc. Is I want to help you reach your full potential. So not only can you raise money for your startup, you also grow this company and you can impact the world, which is pretty freaking cool. So today, we're talking about some crowdfunding tips as it relates to startup companies, and we're getting into it in just a second. All right, man, so thank you so much for joining me on this video. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. I've been in this industry for a long time, since 2012. I love to put out free education and resources, free videos, free content, free podcasts, things that can help you on your journey when it comes to raising money using crowdfunding. So today we're specifically speaking about startup crowdfunding. So if you're out there trying to raise money for a new company, this is really the video that's geared and aimed to help you when it comes to that kind of a pursuit. The first thing I want to start talking about is the platform. So which platform are you actually launching on? Why is this so important? Because every platform out there is different. Now, platform is just a fancy word for website, right? It's really just a website. But by platform, there's also a seller and buyer dynamic that happens on that particular website. So think about Amazon, think about YouTube, think about any of the major marketplaces that are out there. There's a buyer and seller dynamic that's happening. And there's also people that are regular participants on that platform. For example, why do people love to launch products on Amazon? Because there are already a bunch of customers, because there are already a bunch of buyers on that platform, right? Why do we love to put out YouTube videos? Why do I love to put out YouTube videos? I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers, right? So make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet. The reason why is that there's an audience out there of people who love consuming YouTube videos, right? You love consuming YouTube shorts as well. And there are also other platforms that I put out content on when it comes to my podcast, when it comes to my blog, etc. So we try to put things out there in a marketplace so that you can get attention from that marketplace. So when it comes to this, the first decision you're gonna really need to make is which platform do I want to raise money on, right? This is gonna be one of the most important decisions because there are pros and cons to every platform that's out there. Now, the key word I want you to think about when you're raising money is what are your obligations? As a creator, as a business owner, as a startup founder, what are your obligations once you raise money, right? And when you start to think of it that way, it's like, okay, do I want to raise money and have very few obligations? So maybe I want to just get donations. Do I want to raise money and I want to have my only obligation that I have to actually finish and fulfill this product that's only fully half baked and then ship that out there to thousands of people around the world? Or do I want to have stockholders in my company? Do I want to have the obligation that at some point in time, I'm trying to go to an IPO or I'm trying to sell the business or I'm doing dividend distributions to those stockholders? You have to understand if you're going to be accepting a lump sum of cash, you can't just, I don't know, fly that to the Bahamas and sip margaritas. If you're here in Miami Beach, go to South Beach, but I really don't like South Beach, honestly. You could go to North Beach or something like that and work on your tan. To me, that would be crazy because honestly, I'm already tan, right? But also, like, I gotta work, man. I always have to be moving towards something, and I get really bored if I'm just chilling around all the time. I don't really like to just hang out in that way. So that being said, what is the platform? So first of all, when it comes to obligations, there are a few different types, right? There are rewards-based platforms. So rewards-based. Now, when we talk about rewards-based platforms, there are so many out there. I'd say probably the biggest ones that we can mention here when it comes to businesses that are getting started would be Kickstarter, okay, Kickstarter.com, and Indiegogo is another great platform when it comes to rewards-based platforms. So with these platforms, you as a business owner typically have a physical product that you're trying to sell, or it could be an app or a software service or something like that. Usually it's physical products in nature. So it works really well, for example, if you have like a gadget or a gizmo, you develop a design product, you develop a new fashion line, fashion items, create a project, board games, all those different things. Those are really great fits, in my opinion, for Kickstarter and for Indiegogo. There are many other categories as well that you can go and check out, but a lot of physical products tend to be launched on these platforms. Rewards-based, what does that mean? That means that your obligation as a creator when you're raising money is that, let's just say you raise, $200,000. So we have people on the podcast every single week that raise more than that, right? On Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So they raise a certain sum of money and then they have to ship out products to their backers. So it's kind of like a pre-order, if you want to think of it that way. They're basically, people are effectively pre-ordering your product before it comes out there and you're actually selling this to the masses. And you have to fulfill on that, and that has a whole timeline. So this is rewards-based crowdfunding. For a startup that's doing physical products, they don't want to sell stock, they don't want to give away ownership, and they really want to also test demand. They want to build an audience at the same time, and they really want to build a brand as well, kind of like a crash course almost in brand building. I usually will point them to rewards-based platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because again, it's a very good fit. You don't have to give away any equity. And the great thing about that as well is once you actually raise funds and you ship out these products, other people out there then have this product in their hand and they can give you feedback on it. They can post it on Instagram. They can post it on TikTok. They can do all of those really freaking cool things. So rewards-based Kickstarter, Indiegogo, obligations here, keyword being rewards, that you have to ship out rewards. The second one, when it comes to platforms, could be, I'd say this is a little bit more to the people that are more interested in giving away equity in the company. So I'll get through that in just a second. These are what is known as Reg CF, also known as equity crowdfunding portals, or equity crowdfunding website, if you want to use that word. But the technical legal term is equity crowdfunding portals. So these are regulation crowdfunding websites where you can actually raise money using regulation crowdfunding in the Jobs Act. So regulation crowdfunding is basically a securities exemption that allows you to raise now, based on the raised limit, upwards of $5 million when it comes to doing a regulation crowdfunding campaign. And there are also all these other stipulations when it comes to that. But the cool things are that you can do general solicitation, which I'll get into in just a second. And I mean, you can go through also test the waters period. You can get friends and family involved. You can get traditional venture capitalists if you want to as well involved with a new community round when it comes to WeFunder. But really the key here is that you can broadcast this nationwide around the globe if you want to, and you can get non-accredited investors to be able to actually invest in your campaign. So what are some of the different platforms that are out there? Well, we've done studies on this. You can check this out on crowdcrux.com. I've got a lot of great information there. But basically, the biggest ones right now are going to be WeFunder, which is a great platform. I talk with those guys a lot. We also have Start Engine. These are also a great platform. And these guys are incredibly good. These are also, you can look at Republic, which is actually republic.co. They've done some really interesting acquisitions as well, their platform recently. And there's also Seed Invest, we'll say. Seed Invest is another great platform. There are more. I'm just going to kind of keep it to more easy ones here. So regulation crowdfunding, when you think of equity crowdfunding portals, also known as equity crowdfunding websites, equity crowdfunding platforms, they're all kind of similar, honestly. The legal term is like equity crowdfunding portals. There's WeFunder, Start Engine, Republic.co, and Seed Invest. So what the heck does this mean? I'm throwing out all of this jargon, man, and I hate using jargon. As you know, I like to demystify things. I like to make things simple. Let's try to make this a little bit more simple, okay? So what are your obligations? If you raise money using one of these platforms below, and you're trying to raise money using regulation crowdfunding, which is a new securities regulation, what ends up happening is that you basically have an obligation in that you are acquiring stockholders. You're giving away a portion of equity in your company and you're getting a bunch of investors. Now, those aren't like thousands of investors all on your cap table and makes everything really messy. They're actually condensing it into one line item on the cap table, using some kind of SPV, special purpose vehicle, like an LLC, in order to direct the voting power of those investors, particularly also with some kind of a lead investor. So boil that all down to something really simple, right? Your obligations are that you now have investors in your company beyond you. Those investors are obviously owed, or they basically have the right to have some kind of, in the future, appreciation in terms of their equity. Maybe you decide to do distributions in some way. Maybe when you get acquired, right, they're able to then cash in their shares, or if you're doing an IPO, or there are different ways in which you can do your round. So for example, on WeFunder or on Start Engine, you can do different types of offerings. So you could do a crowd safe kind of a model, right, on WeFunder, where you're giving away or promising future equity. You're actually not technically valuing the shares yet, but at a future round, when you do a price round with a VC or something like that, these people's shares, when they have invested in you, are going to convert into equity. Or if you wanted to right off the bat, you could do a price round. So that would be price securities, and you're actually valuing your company at that amount. And those securities then have an inherent value. Or like I said, you could do the SAFE model, which is future equity, promises of future equity. So the obligations are, you obviously have to keep people in the loop. You have to do a little bit of investor communications. People have to be aware of what you're doing. And you're basically a public company. I know it sounds strange. It sounds weird. I think of going public. I think of like IPO. I think of the NASDAQ. I think of the stock market, right? You're technically a public company. There's just a very small float, right, that's out there. And there are other companies as well, like Start Engine, that have secondary markets for their shares, which is a growing thing in my opinion. I think it's going to go even bigger than this. It's really exciting times. So you're getting me all hyped up here, man. Obligations. They're going to have to, the key word here is number one, you're going to have to raise under a certain securities exemption. And by being listed on a crowdfunding portal, like one of the ones below, you're basically allowing people to invest in your company. Now, the pro of that is that you can then do what you want with that money. You don't have to necessarily produce more of the products. You can invest that in marketing, you can invest that in HR, you can invest that in however you'd want. So the cool thing with this is that this is our investment dollars, and that's the same way that it's revenue generated when it comes to rewards-based campaign. So the other one, the third one, I'm just gonna kind of gloss over the third one because I think that most people don't even fall into that category, would be doing something more along the lines of what we call charitable or donation crowdfunding. I've actually also written a book on rewards-based crowdfunding called The Kickstarter Launch Formula. I've written a book on this called Equity Crowdfunding Explained, and I've written a book as well on crowdfunding personal expenses. So this is usually what I call charity. It could also be kind of quasi nonprofit or cause related. So this would be someone who maybe is a minority, or it's someone who is trying to raise money and has a very difficult environment to do that. And they're basically trying to get people to donate for them to allow them to help them start a business. And maybe they're also giving away rewards or something like that, which is kind of difficult to do, honestly, on GoFundMe, but some people will choose to do that. So the biggest platform here definitely is GoFundMe. There are other ones that are out there, but honestly, GoFundMe has actually acquired a lot of them. So they're kind of like becoming a monopoly, to be honest. So I'd say GoFundMe is the biggest one there when it comes to causes and charity. And I'll add one other quick one here. And this is really, I would say, not necessarily a startup, but like a small business. You could also engage in what's called micro lending. Also, I call this debt crowdfunding, where you can get a micro loan using a website such as Kiva in order to get a $10,000 loan, which you then pay back over time to start a really small business. Not really a startup, right? In that way, it's more of a small business. So when we're going through this list, to me, the ones that stand out most to the community are typically rewards-based crowdfunding and regulation crowdfunding or equity crowdfunding portals. With these are the ones that you're typically going to gravitate to if you are a startup company and trying to evaluate those pros and cons of, do I want to give away equity in the company for a really big chunk of money? Or am I more interested in generating sales, getting attention, building a brand, getting potential customers, and not give away equity at this point in time? Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description. Whether you're doing investment crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding, whether you're doing something more along the lines of Kickstarter, Indiegogo, rewards crowdfunding, you can't get away from the fact that you need a freaking good product, right? It's very difficult to sell a bad product. It's very difficult to sell a bad company or a company that's not growing in any kind of way or doesn't have any kind of prospects or vision or doesn't have anyone cool that's working at it, right? I know you guys are all cool. Obviously, the ones that are watching my channel, you guys are hard workers, you're learners, obviously, because you sticked up and you actually have gotten to this point in the video. But kind of what I want to go through now is really what you need, almost like the secret sauce in order to make all of this work, okay? So you've got the platform, it makes sense, and you're like, okay, Sal, I've really figured out what it is that I want to do. Then it really comes down to these two words, which is marketing magic. Marketing magic, my friends. And I'm not telling anyone else this, right? Just a couple of thousand people that are subscribed to my YouTube channel. This is all about marketing magic. And what do I mean by marketing magic? I'm talking about you can have two products and one product can actually be superior than the other. But if product A has better marketing, if product A is better at advertising, if product A is better at building things when it comes to like an audience, people that are excited about this product, people that are raving fans that have really great ways of actually sharing that in customer success stories and creative, and product B just isn't really good at that. Their team just doesn't know how to do that. They don't even know how to get help when it comes to that, right? Product A is gonna win every time. And it's one of those things that like, oh man, when I hear that, it's almost depressing because I speak with creators all the time on my coaching calls. I speak with people all the time when it comes to my long-term coaching students. I help clients, right? All these different things. And I see them with incredible products. And it started to frustrate me when I was early in my career because I'm like, dude, you got an insanely great product. Why didn't we get this out there? And I'm like, dude, you need to be willing to actually market this thing. You need to be willing to actually promote this thing. You need to be willing to actually build a marketing strategy and get the word out about this. You also have the right assets. It's very difficult to build a building if you don't have a good foundation. So you want to make sure that you also have that. I just want to go through some of these different points here. So my main point though is that you need to actually be willing to do this and be hungry to do this and be excited to do it. Because I can't tell you the number of coaching students I've had that just get in the way of their own success because they're not willing to do this. So you really got to be all in, I would say. So first of all, when it comes to marketing magic, some of the things that you're going to need to do in order to raise money, some of the startup crowdfunding tips that I have for you is you need to have compelling creative, okay? Compelling creative. Now, what is creative in marketing terms? I know it's kind of like a buzzword, if you will. What is compelling creative? I'm talking about, for example, with your regulation crowdfunding campaign on WeFunder or on Start Engine, you're gonna need a killer video. Same thing is true if you're doing another campaign on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You gotta have a killer video, some video that not only convinces people that this is something that's worth their time learning more about, that also gets them excited, right? Gets them wanting to learn more. Also, usually communicates as well as some high level points when it comes to your actual offering or when it comes to your actual campaign with Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So no matter what type of crowdfunding you're doing, video is so powerful. And you already know this, you're watching a video, right? Video is so powerful. You need to have compelling creative. One of that is a video, others are images, okay? So really great images. So I would say images that not only, are kind of like interesting and like well put together, but that provoke an emotion of some kind. So well thought out imagery on a campaign page, on your actual pitch when it comes to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, on your actual pitch when it comes to Start Engine or WeFunder, whatever your crowdfunding campaign is, having really great imagery is like night and day. So it used to be where you could literally just throw up a page, you could write a bunch of text and send that to people, and you could actually get funding this way. I know because I've seen these campaigns, right? I've been in the industry for a long time. I've worked with people just like this. However, nowadays, it's gotten to the point where imagery is really where attention is going. And you know this by the major apps that are out there, by Instagram, right? Even by TikTok with video. Imagery and video is where the world is going. And it's so like depressing to me because I've written 10 books, right? Most people don't like to read anymore. Only the people that are actually committed to their training, only people that are obsessed about getting better results in life, only the people that want to invest their time in upgrading their education, those are the people that are reading books, my friend. But the big masses out there, the people that are just consumers, people just buying things, they're usually not reading books. So you gotta have compelling creative, number one, when it comes to working your marketing magic. Number two, when it comes to this point, and this kind of works under the whole magic world. A lot of the times when we see something that we can't explain, we think of it as magic, right? So I'll tell you, first time, so I used to live in New York City. I lived in New York City for about 6 years, maybe 7 years. And I'm here now in Miami. And being in New York City, one of the coolest things, you could go to Central Park and you could see all these people who have these really interesting creative pursuits and disciplines. Some people are like dancers, some people like to sing, some people have these comedic routines that they're performing in Central Park. And I will never forget this one experience I had where basically I was in Central Park and I noticed this huge crowd that was beginning to form in the park. And I was like, what the heck? What is happening over there, right? And these guys were there and they are doing some kind of comedy routine and they were just beckoning everyone to come closer, come closer, come closer. And this crowd was growing and growing and growing. And I thought to myself, wow, this is getting everyone's attention. And that's because nothing draws attention like a crowd. And when we see a crowd, it's almost like, what's happening? Is magic happening? Is fun happening? I want to know exactly what's happening. So the key to success when it comes to marketing magic is to build a crowd of some sort before you go onto a major platform. So that in conjunction with your launch, you can actually have tons of people that are taking action, whether that's with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you can have people that are supporting your campaign, whether that's with WeFunder or Start Engine or Seed Invest, people that are investing right away. You can already get what's called social proof in the marketing world, where you're having a ton of people that are taking action. So I call this crowd building. Build a crowd. Again, nothing, crowd, this looks like cloud, crowd. Nothing attracts a audience, nothing attracts more people like a crowd. A crowd sells, right? A crowd gets attention. And just going back to my example, right? My little story in Central Park, it got my attention, it got me interested, it got me excited. The purpose of a crowd is multifold. One is, when it comes to social proof, is building credibility. So we ask ourselves, like, how could anyone actually invest in my company that's never met me before? How could anyone buy my product who's never met me before? Well, when they see that other people are taking action, all of a sudden kind of like, it's like, this is kind of interesting. They start to approach something with more curiosity rather than actually being skeptical. So curiosity is really what's leading them down this path. And the cool thing when you're actually building a crowd is that you have instant credibility. It's almost like because this restaurant is already packed and full, other people also want to go and eat at this restaurant, right? So it builds credibility. The other thing is that it helps with the algorithm, okay? Going back here in my other point, we were talking about these different platforms. And one of the things that we really underline here is the fact that this is a platform, right? These are different platforms that are out there. And what I define as a platform is having a marketplace dynamic. Now, every single platform that has a marketplace dynamic also has what? It has algorithms. So algorithms related to Instagram, algorithms related to Amazon, algorithms related to YouTube, algorithms related to crowdfunding platforms, right? So the more that you can build a crowd, you can also rank well in the algorithm of the platform which you choose to launch on, which is why this is so incredibly important. Why should I stress it so much in the one-on-one coaching calls that I do, in the long-term coaching that I do, with the clients that I'm helping, etc. This is so freaking important to build a crowd. It makes everything easier. It makes things so much easier when you're actually launching a new product, you're trying to get investment capital, you're trying to do something else. No one wants to be first. Am I right? The third point that I wanted to make here is that, man, you gotta have what I call an irresistible or an amazing or like an unforgettable offer almost. So I'm gonna say unforgettable here, unforgettable offer. Now, what do I mean by that? Why do I mean an unforgettable offer? So that's kind of like a few different things I would say, when it comes to different crowdfunding campaign platforms and crowdfunding websites that are out there. But really what I'm trying to get to with the crux of this is you gotta have a page, something that you're offering, an opportunity where people can own a product, they can invest in your company, something that they're like, gosh, this is so cool. This is such a great deal. Right? This is something where I can totally see how the solution is going to take over the world. How amazing is the craftsmanship of this product? It's got to be something that sticks in their mind. You got to have an unforgettable offer. Now that could be related to the price that you're doing. That could be related to what you're bundling in the offer. That could be related to your terms if you're doing a regulation crowdfunding campaign. That could be related to the things that make up this product if you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, the actual materials that you're using, your slant on it, the marketing angle, the sustainability aspect, whatever it is. You got to have an offer that sticks in their mind and that really gets them to be like, this is freaking cool. I'm not going to forget this. This is interesting. And that extends as well throughout the actual campaign. So throughout the campaign, when you're live, you're actually doing this campaign, you're on a platform, you're actively raising money. You also need to be hyping this up, celebrating things, introducing news, etc. The more you can do that, you make it an unforgettable experience. And people love to be a part of the experience. Have you ever gone, for example, and gotten Japanese food or Chinese food? You go to a restaurant and you love it and it's great, right? Nothing wrong with that. But you ever go to like a hibachi restaurant where chefs are like making things in front of you and it's like these whiz bang moves and the guy's like somersaulting almost in the air and there's like fire that's going everywhere. This is so freaking cool, right? And it makes the experience of eating so much more enjoyable when you see someone actually putting in hard work and actually making the food right in front of you, right? So when you have an unforgettable offer, it's not only just about the first time they see it, but it's also about as they're interacting throughout the campaign. Because again, if you're doing Kickstarter, it might be 30 days you're doing this campaign. If you're doing regulation crowdfunding, it could be 90 days what you're doing the campaign. It could be even longer, right? Depending on how you're actually structuring this raise. So when it comes to marketing magic, you got to make sure that you have an unforgettable offer. And that's really what makes something seem like magic. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Provided just a couple of bits of advice when it comes to startups out there that are trying to raise money through crowdfunding, how you should be thinking about this. First of all, with the framework, right? We talked about when it comes to platforms and websites, how you should also be acting upon this to make this reality, using marketing magic in order to make this happen. It's all about controlling perception when you're trying to influence people to take action online. And finally, what you as the founder, you as the executive, you as the person who's really leading the charge here, maybe with your team or with yourself, what you need to do in order to really unlock your potential, to see success, to see results in this area, and to make sure that you really cash in on that crowdfunding gold. And I really do believe that this is like a gold rush when it comes to crowdfunding. We're seeing so many new campaigns do regulation crowdfunding. We're seeing so many people raise money successfully when it comes to rewards-based crowdfunding. So this is a very exciting time to be alive. And in my opinion, actually one of the easiest times as well to raise money. So my name again is Salvador Briggman. You can go and check out the free courses and links down below. If you want to book a one-on-one coaching call with me, you can also check that out down below. And go and check out some of the other videos that I got out there, sharing with you actually how to raise money in more tactical ways, in different strategies and techniques, all that stuff. You can go and search through my channel. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.